Good evening. First off, it's all about the U. Well, as most of you know by now, Kirby Hocutt is now the new athletic director at Texas Tech. And I think he will do a tremendous job over there, turning that program into a monster program for years to come. He did a tremendous job here for 2 years. He did hire Hal Golden to be our head coach. So wish Kirby Hocutt all the best. And now we have to go out and fill his shoes. Now there are a couple of names I took a look at this evening and doing just a little research on it, and a couple of names that to me stood out. Like I said, a couple of names. One would be Chris Freet, the current assistant AD. I mean, if we want to stay in house, I mean, this would be a guy I would take a look at. I mean, he would keep the course. You know, he would keep things smooth. He would keep things would be status quo. I mean, he would still follow Kirby's path. I mean, Chris Freet, I think, is a tremendous young AD assistant AD who would be a great AD here. But if I want to go outside, a couple names I would want to take a look at. But before I do it, let me go one other name, Jim Morris, current baseball coach. And now, you know, every couple years you hear how good maybe Jim Morris would be, the athletic director at Georgia Tech, you know. But he's here through 2015, so it would be something of an interesting take if I were to hire Jim Morris, if Jim Morris were to be hired here as AD, in addition to being a baseball coach. And there has been some precedent there. Skip Berkman, the AD at LSU, was the baseball coach for a lot of years, very successfully, I might add. Now, the question I'd have to ask myself if I'm Jim Morris, do I want to add the title of AD to my responsibilities of baseball coach as well? Something I'd want to consider. But if we want to stay in-house, another choice I'd go with is Jim Morris. But if I want to go outside, there are about 3 or 4 names, maybe 5 I would take a good hard look at. Number 1 would be Sandy Barber, the athletic director at Cal. Now, when Dee left a few years ago, I said this would be a choice I would love to have here. I mean, when you look at the job Sandy Barber's done in Berkeley, it has just been outstanding. I mean, she's a very strong fundraiser. I mean, from a hoops perspective, think about it when you look at it from a basketball perspective. If she came here, Haith would be as good as gone. And you know she'd keep Golden here a long time, especially if the program's back to what to promise as Golden promises it will be. Okay. Now the question is, would Donna want to go with a woman to run things at the Heck Center? If I say yes, Barbara would be my choice. Another one I'd go after would be Bill Bradshaw, the athletics director at Temple. Now keep in mind, this was the man that hired Al Golden for the Temple job a few years ago. Now, if Golden has some influence here, as I'm sure he will here, then I'd have to say Bradshaw becomes a name you must consider very seriously. And it's a chance he may bring Fran Dunphy with him south. Now, consider a pro town like Philadelphia. And Philly's a very heavy pro town. The job he's done building that Temple program is just phenomenal. Amazing job, and very well respected. Next would be Rutgers athletic director Tim Pernetti. Now, yes, he hired Mike Rice as hoops coach this year, but some up here don't like the fact that he's done nothing with Shiana, who's his very good friend. Now, overall, when you look at what Pernetti's done with what he has, he's done a pretty decent job. Now, what would he be able to do at the Heck Center? Now, yes, he's a New Jersey native, but hey, so was Al Golden. Look where Al Golden is. Now, that being said, though, I just don't see Pernetti leaving the Garden State to come to South Beach. I just don't see that happening. Now, two long shots I would look at very seriously here. One would be St. John's athletic director Chris Monsack. Now, he did a good job hiring Steve Lavin as the hoops coach this year, and look what Lavin's doing. He has a lot of experience with the NCAA. He's been under committees. He knows the ins and outs of the NCAA. The downside is St. John's is his alma mater. So I just don't see him leaving Jamaica Queens for South Beach. I just can't see that. However, if I'm down at Shalala, would I want to talk to him? Sure. Considering the experience Chris Monsax has, I would want to take a look at it. Don't see it happening though. If I want to hire another woman, I gotta take a look at Jean Lenny Ponsetto at DePaul. Now, an AD like Chicago has with Ponsetto is an advantage. She will spend the money. The upside, she will spend the money to get a big name, and she's a very good fundraiser. There's a downside though. DePaul does not field a football team, and down here that is the major issue. That's the cash cow. And not having that experience to deal with a football program like Miami is, I say is a real long shot. So there's little to no chance Ponsetto would leave the Windy City for South Beach. But especially so when you consider the fact that her husband is a special prosecutor in the Attorney General's office up there in Illinois. So don't see that happening. Now some mentioned the USF Athletic Director Doug Woodard. McGillis, somebody mentioned that. Don't see those guys leaving. Tribble at UCF, I don't know about that. But like I said, my choices, if I were doing a search, would be Sandy Barber, Bill Bradshaw, Tim Pernetti, Chris Monsack, and maybe Morris. But I would say my top two for the AD job, and maybe Chris Freet, of course, I forgot about him. So my top three would be Chris Freet, Sandy Barber, and Bill Bradshaw. So that's my take on the athletic director search right now, and it'll probably be more as time comes on. So I will see you down the road, and as always, go Canes.